Good evening. Linda, could you please give the invocation for this evening?
Let's bow our heads. Dear Holy and Righteous Father, we give you all the honor and glory tonight as we invite your presence here. You are the creator of this city and every leader that sits here tonight. You have a book written in heaven about each leader and what your intentions for this city are. We agree with your plans for us and for this city tonight because we know that your plans are for good and not for evil and to prosper us and give us a future and a hope. We cancel every plan of the evil one through the power of the blood of Jesus, and we decree the plans of the Lord will stand. We cancel any personal or political agendas and call forth your agenda. Open every eye to see, every ear to hear, every heart to know your heart and plans for this city tonight as decisions that are made affect us all. Holy Spirit, come and move among us to tear down walls, heal woundedness, foster repentance and forgiveness, and bring all into a oneness that you have orchestrated. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Linda. So now we'll officially call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Alderpersons Clem,
Here.
Monroe,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Stacy,
Here.
Shadle,
Here.
Sanders,
Here.
and Sellers.
Here.
Thank you. And if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Alderman Monroe.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 is the approval of the agenda minus the executive session. We will not be having that tonight. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second. Monroe.
Motion made by Alderman Monroe, seconded by Alderman Shadle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on July 17th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Shadle, seconded by Alderman Monroe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Public comment, we have one signed in, Eric Zuberbuehler, if you'd like to have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Eric Zuberbuehler. I'm here representing the Chicago Port Authority tonight. We have some dockets on the agenda tonight. I'd just like to kind of come over and maybe bring some clarification there. Essentially what we're doing is asking for some zoning to change the color of the map from one color to another color. That would allow us to build a hotel on top of the Bless building, and then as well take the Two Eagles lot and combine it into one so it can all be a parking lot used for that structure. Just wanted to kind of walk through some concepts of zoning and how that works in our situation. There's many stages to this project, and the first stage for us is to get zoning. The purchase of the building is actually contingent on zoning. When we had all signed all the contract, Two Eagles had burned down, so that's why things have been hung up for a little while. But now that we're in the process of moving forward, the zoning of this is contingent on the purchase of the building and then contingent on moving forward. So we have all the plans in place to kind of move forward, but we can't do anything because there's no reason for us to put our own capital down if we're going to find out that the zoning's not going to go through when we already got a significant capital invested into this project. So I urge you to think about when you're voting tonight that this is the first step of many steps that's going to happen for our project. And we think it's a great thing for Freeport. We think building on top of current buildings that are existing, preventing them from falling down and taking action ahead of time is a great thing. And restoring the upper floors to bring more people to downtown Freeport. I would say I'm the pessimist of our LLC and working for, I think my father's much more of a dreamer than I am. But you know, it's been 4 years since we've been working on the project that we were working on now. And we want to take the same momentum we have now and put that into the Bless building. When we first started this project, I wasn't sure what that would look like. It was just a ton of work to be able to start with our first project. But as of today, I am fully rented out for all my suites in my building right now. And they're all filled with young entrepreneurs and young business owners that are all just starting out in their process. And that's what I'm trying to fill Freeport with, especially downtown Freeport. More like-minded things like this and kind of push us forward. So I hope that you consider that tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, now we will move on to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is considered to be routine in nature unless there's a member of the council who would like to have something removed for further discussion. Is there anything? Yes.
Yes, I like to have wait a minute, I think I'm on the wrong. All right, just a second. The appointments, are we out there yet?
We're on number 4.
Oh,
which
I'm
is the
sorry.
consent
I'm
agenda.
looking, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Nope, that's all right.
I was looking A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Then the consent agenda consists of approval to receive and place on file the board and commission minutes from the Library Board of Trustees dated April 5th and May 10th, 2023, the building permit reports for July 2023, the finance bills payable in the total of $1,185,969.38, payroll for pay period ending July 15th, 2023, in the total of $583,551.84, as well as pay period $54, the finance report, as well as the cash and investment report for June 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Sellers. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 5 are appointments. Madam Clerk, if you could just read just one at a time, we'll move that way. I believe that's probably the direction that the council would go for as individually. So if you could just read the first one.
Sure, we have 2 reappointments to the Library Board of Trustees, both effective until May 31, 2026. Reappointment of Alan Green and reappointment of Betty Butler.
So is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
So we have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by
It doesn't matter.
Either one.
Alderman Sellers,
Don't matter.
to approve both these reappointments. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sellers, Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Then we have 5B for appointments.
Appointment of Randy Bucas to Housing Authority, effective August 7th, expiring October 31st, 2024, to replace Michelle Richter's seat on the Housing Authority Board. Appointment of Pat Busker to Planning Commission, expiring October 31st, 2024, and the appointment of Will Clark to Planning Commission, expiring October 31st, 2025.
Do we want to do those individually, or can we do those as a group?
Yes, I would like to do them individually.
Okay, so then we have, we'll take them in the order they were stated. So is there a motion to approve the appointment of Randy Bucas?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Shadle. Discussion? Alderman Sellers?
I would like to just state that I really don't think Randy Bucas is the person for the Housing Authority because of the relationship between the Housing Authority and when Mr. Bucas was city manager. I think that even talking with the Housing Authority, I think that it would be a very bad fit right now. And I think that we should select someone else to take that position because I don't think that Randy Bucas has the heart to deal with the people that live in housing. You know, you have to have a heart for certain groups of how people live, and I don't think he has that. I mean, he's not a nice person, but we need somebody there that is going to care for not only the families, but care for the children that live there. And me, I would have to vote no for Randy Bucas to be a part of the Housing Authority because I know the relationship and the reasoning for wanting to be on the Housing Board.
Any other discussion concerning this appointment? Yeah, Alderman Parker?
Just, I'm not arguing with you a bit about Randy, but I'm thinking because of his background being in government,
and so much of their business is in with the federal government, the state government. He would understand it and be able to work well with the government and people. Now, working with the people living there, I can't respond to that, but I do know that he knows the laws, he knows how to deal with the government and on grants and money, so I'm in favor of Randy on that.
Alderman Sellers?
It's not really about dealing with the families that live in housing. I'm talking about the people that do already sit on this board and how he disrespected them, went to them and disrespected them. To tell the truth, they want the land on the east side. They want the housing project. And that's why he's going on the board. It's not because he cares about the people and he has the ability to know government, because I'm pretty sure they've done very well getting out of the mess that they were in. I'm talking about when you're sitting, even us as a council, when you're sitting on as a group and you're working at a team, you have to be able to respect people. And when you've hurt people and you've down-talked people and you've made the people that's on the board and you've made them as downcast, and then now you want to come and be on my board, it's not for the good reason. And I understand when you have the knowledge, but when you don't have the heart for what you're doing, you got to have a heart for what you're doing if you're sitting on these boards.
Why are you saying our board? Are you on that board?
No, I said their board. I'm not on that board.
I know you just said it a couple times, our board.
Oh, I didn't mean to, I might have misquoted, but I'm not on that board. No. But that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think if he would have addressed them a little better and know what the real reason is, because that's my heart, and that's what I'm just saying. He's not a person that I would vote for the Housing Authority.
Thank you.
I believe Alderman Stacy, did you have? Well, if there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Well, I've lost my voting bar. Here we go. Monroe.
Aye.
Simmons.
No.
Parker.
Aye.
Stacy.
No.
Shadle.
Aye.
Sanders.
No.
Sellers.
No.
And Clem.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. We have a tie, Mayor.
Aye.
And then the motion passes 5-4. Let me check with the attorney that's a simple majority.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Could you please read the next appointment?
Appointment of Pat Busker to Planning Commission expiring October 31st, 2024.
I'm sorry, you didn't need to read that again. That's my
That's
mistake. So is there a motion to receive this appointment?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Shale. Is there any discussion, council? Alderman Stacy?
Nothing against Mr. Busker. But he done nothing for the Fifth Ward. He did not even attend the neighborhood watch meetings. So what would make one think he would be effective on this board?
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
One moment, please. Monroe.
Aye.
Simmons.
No.
Parker.
Aye.
Stacy.
No.
Shadle.
Aye.
Sanders.
No.
Sellers.
No.
Clem.
No.
The motion fails 3-5.
And the next appointment would be for Will Clark. Is there discussion? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. You got a second?
Motion made by Shadle, seconded by Sellers. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Monroe.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Stacy.
Aye.
Shadle.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Sellers.
Aye.
And Clem.
Aye.
The motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. And we move on to Part C, which are appointments for FOIA officers. Could you please read those?
For the Fire Department, Denise Scudder and Hillary Brocious, and for the Police Department, Deputy Chief Travis Davis and Carla Green.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Monroe. Is there discussion, council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons, Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 6 is recognition of service awards. Manager Boyer, are you going to take the lead on that, or? Okay, so we move on to fire? Okay. Chief Miller?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'm here to announce that firefighter Tessendorf is enjoying a family vacation in Colorado, and Zachary Burr has declined the opportunity to come tonight. He had prior engagement. I will wish them their congratulations, though.
Thank you. And Director Huffines?
Bless you.
So Amanda has been a staple at the library for 5 years now. And while Amanda has worked at the library, we've seen an increase in the variety of events and resources in our collection. She's introduced STEM kits, early literacy kits, a parenting section, separated our picture books into categories, and so much more. She plans, prepares, and presents most of our kids' programming. And Amanda's dedication and passion for all things library is unmatched. Almost every day I receive compliments from families about everything we have happening in the youth department. So thank you, Amanda, for your consistent hard work and dedication to the library, and I look forward to seeing what new ideas you have in the coming years.
Thank you. We will move on to item number 7, which is the second reading of ordinance 2023-35. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving a special use permit application at 1405 South Benson Boulevard submitted by Eagle Point Solar, Ted Odendahl, to examine the special use of a R2 one-family residence zone to allow for solar energy systems which utilize ground-mounted PV arrays per section 1250.01B20.
Thank you. Director Tuckman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is the second reading of this ordinance, and that first reading was on July 17th. And this ordinance is in reference to a special use permit for the use of a single PV array, or basically a solar panel, and it's going to be constructed for residential purposes. And this special use permit went to the Zoning Board of Appeals on July 13th, and it was recommended for approval with a vote of 5-0. July 13th was also the date of our Planning Commission meeting. It was recommended for approval with a vote of 5-0. And in line with the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Commission, staff recommends approval of this special use permit.
Thank you. Since there's already a motion on the floor from the last meeting, I don't think we need another one, right? Okay, so just if there's any discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
No.
Sims,
Aye. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Simmons, that was an aye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Parker, aye. Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
No.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The motion passes 6-2, and does the ordinance too.
And so we'll move on to item number 8, which is the second reading of ordinance 2023-36. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving a special use permit application at 519 Northwest Avenue submitted by AWM Investments to examine the special use of a B2 limited service business zone to allow restaurants, taverns, packaged liquor stores, and any other establishment the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption on or off the premises per section 1252.01B11.
Thank you. Director Duckman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, the first reading for this ordinance was on July 17th, and it's for a restaurant serving alcohol at 519 Northwest Avenue. And again, most recently, this was a restaurant, Don's Oasis and Oasis. It has been vacant for, our records are showing, I believe it's 2020. And the current owner would like to start this restaurant and serve alcohol. And he brought the petition to our Zoning Board of Appeals on July 13th. It was recommended for approval with a vote of 5-0. July 13th was also the Planning Commission meeting for this petition, and it was also recommended for approval with a vote of 5-0. In line with the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Commission, staff is also recommending approval of this special use permit.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
And item number 9 is the second reading of ordinance 2023-37. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving a zoning map amendment at 8-16 East Main Street, submitted by Rodell Zuberbuehler, doing business as Chicago Port Authority, to examine the proposed zoning map change from a B1-2 general retail business to a B2-2 limited service business.
Thank you. Director Duckman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So staff received a zoning map amendment for 816 East Main Street, and it's for the rezoning from a B1 general retail business to the B2 limited service business. This petition was heard by the Zoning Board of Appeals on July 13th, and it was recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0. The Planning Commission meeting was also held on July 13th, and it was recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0. And the first reading of this ordinance was July 17th. And in line with the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Commission, staff is recommending approval of this zoning map amendment.
Thank you. Discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. And item number 10 is the second reading of ordinance 2023-38. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving a zoning map amendment at 18 East Main Street, submitted by Rodell Zuberbuehler, doing business as Chicago Port Authority, to examine the proposed zoning map change from a B1-2 general retail business to a B2-2 limited service business.
Thank you. Director Duckman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just wanted to say quickly here that this is for the parking lot, or originally a restaurant that had burned down. So it's directly tied to the Bluss building, and so this was kind of heard in conjunction with the Bluss building's prior zoning map amendment, and this petition was heard on July 13th by the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and it was recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0. July 13th was also when the Planning Commission had heard the petitioner's request, and it was recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0. The first reading of this ordinance was held July 17th, and staff, in line with the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Commission, is recommending approval of this zoning map amendment.
Thank you. Is there any discussion, council? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
Item number 11 is the first reading of ordinance 2023-39. Could you please read this?
Ordinance revising various provisions of the codified ordinances of the City of Freeport to rename the position of Director of Utility Operations to Utility Superintendent.
Thank you. Manager Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Since the departure of the former Director of Utility Operations in the fall of 2020, I have taken on the responsibilities of overseeing the day-to-day operations at the city utility. As the city manager, due to my new responsibilities, it is necessary to install a dedicated manager to handle the daily plant and field operations at the utility. Over the past 3 years, significant changes have occurred that prompt a reevaluation of the Director of Utility Operations position and its job description. The integration of the city utility with the broader city leadership has led to a shift in organizational structure, making the standalone director role less essential and somewhat duplicative. Upon careful assessment, staff recommends a change in the position title to Utility Superintendent to better align with the recent organizational changes. The Utility Superintendent will report directly to the Public Works Director and will be responsible for the efficient management of the utility's day-to-day functions. The Public Works Director will retain oversight over budget, financial matters, and executive level management roles. Moreover, another significant change is the increase in licensed operations staff within the utility. As a result, all compliance reporting to the Illinois EPA is now performed by a wastewater chief plant operator, with the environmental compliance officer providing necessary oversight. This adjustment has streamlined the reporting process and ensured adherence to regulatory requirements without burdening the utility superintendent with compliance responsibilities. Overall, the decision to restructure the position reflects the evolving needs of the city utility and acknowledges the benefits of a more streamlined leadership structure. By implementing these changes and appointing a utility superintendent, we can ensure effective day-to-day management while maintaining strong connections with city leadership and adherence to compliance standards. The proposed utility superintendent position is budgeted within a 2023 utility budget. The proposed salary range for the position is between $70,000 and $76,000 per year. This is a net savings of $20,000 as compared with the $95,000 budgeted for the Director of Utility Operations. Staff recommends council move this for second reading at the next council meeting.
Thank you, Manager Boyer. Is there a motion to move this to second reading?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Clem. Discussion. Alderman Sellers.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Alderman Sanders?
Did you?
Go ahead, Alderman Sanders.
go ahead, go ahead.
Dr. Boyer, will that recycler be used for whatever the function and duty of our description of that cycler, what is its purpose? And will it stay the same characteristics of this duty? We're talking about the recycler. I know that English didn't quite jive with a lot of folks, but I'm just curious. Is that the sole purpose of the recycler?
As far as the recycler, we're going to get to that just next item, but as far as the utility superintendent, the duties are different than the Director of Utility Operations in that the superintendent is not in and of themselves responsible for the regulatory compliance, and also budgetary requirements are spread among the executive directors, so that would be the Public Works Director. So it would be different in terms of duties for the utility superintendent versus the Director of Utility Operations.
Okay, we're talking about the purchase of this item, am I correct?
No, you're on the wrong, you're on the wrong one. We're on item number 11.
Oh, we're still on
Yeah.
11, okay.
Yeah, we're on 11. So Alderman Sellers.
Yes. I would just like to verify something that you had said to me. So you're saying that if we go with this utility operator or utility superintendent or whatever the name, you said that would, because you've got people that would be able to sign, so that would have Darren step down. We wouldn't need Darren if we've got this guy, right? That's what you said. I just want to get
Manager Boyer?
clarification.
Just to make a point of clarification, the Director of Public Works is currently unfilled, and Darren is filling in for the duties of that position. We will be looking for a Public Works Director, but we want to make sure we get through construction season this year before I bring somebody new into the mix. The utility superintendent would be over the utility in terms of the day-to-day operations and also the activities in the field crew.
Go ahead.
So what you're saying is that this utility operator is not taking the place of you when you were the Public Works Director. Darren is you right now. Is that what you're telling me?
I actually assumed the position to help save the city money, and my background is pretty extensive in utilities. So in 2020, when the Director of Utility Operations stepped down, I just stepped in temporarily to cover those duties as Public Works Director. However, there are two separate positions budgeted. One is for a utility director, and the other is for Public Works Director. In this particular case, the utility superintendent would take the place of the utility director and then report to the Director of Public Works when that position is filled in a matter of months.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to ask a question. Did anyone else apply for the job? Do we have any other candidates that applied for the job or would like to do the job, or no? I just.
Go ahead.
We received 4 applicants for the utility director position. Unfortunately, only one. So the job description requires a college degree. Only one had a college degree, and the other 3, none of them had any utility licenses. So that would be a Class 1 wastewater or a Class B drinking water. So we received no qualified applicants in the last 6 weeks that the Director of Utility Operations has been posted.
Alderman Stacy?
So, would you consider the 4 that applied for the director position? Would you consider offering them the superintendent position?
In this particular case, after reviewing the resumes, none of them had any field experience with water, wastewater utilities, and none of them had any operating experience, and none of them had any regulatory experience. So I'm really not sure why those individuals applied for the position. However, they did not have any experience in a utility at all.
Alderman Stacy?
Okay, so was this superintendent position put out there for every and anyone to apply for, or was it just appointed?
The Director of Utility Operations was posted for approximately 6 weeks following council's request that we go ahead and post the job as written, which we did do. It was posted on job search websites, and for various reasons, we only received 4 applicants.
Okay. I'm not talking about the director position. I am talking about the person you want for the superintendent, which is currently a city worker. Am I correct?
That job hasn't been approved, or the job description and the change title hasn't been changed by council, been allowed to change, so nothing's happened with the utility superintendent position.
He can't post the job until the council approves.
Okay, but it would be posted.
Yes. It has to be approved first.
Maybe just as a point of clarification, the position, the superintendent position, isn't created yet. It's created by this ordinance that's before you guys. So once the position's created, then you can start looking for someone to fill the position. But until the position's created, you can't take applications for people to try to apply for it yet.
Alderman Stacy?
Okay, I am trying to understand, because at one time, we were willing to pay $2,400 to put information out there for job openings. And I'm just curious, actually, where was this director, utility operator position posted?
Go ahead.
Alderman Stacy, it was posted on the city website. It was also posted on Indeed.com. That's generally what we do for various positions that we're looking for.
So just those 2?
Alderman Sellers, did you have something?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask the question. So tonight, we're not putting anyone in the position. Tonight, we're just voting on a name for the position, correct?
Creating the job.
Right, creating the job title, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Stacy.
Tonight, we are deciding if we change director of utility operation to superintendent, correct?
I thought we were voting with second reading. Correct, so no voting except to bring it back.
You should really be called on first, but
Oh,
I don't think anybody can hear you. I can't. Yeah, if you
Lord?
can speak into your,
Okay, so I thought we were voting on the motion to move it for a second reading, not to make an actual vote or decision, but just to bring it back and then to finally make the
you are correct. Alderman Parker, did you have something?
No.
I do have a question.
Alderman Simmons.
So, should we vote to make this change? Is this a position that comes back before the council for voting to approve the candidate? Or once we vote for it, whoever you deem, fit for qualified for the position, you can just place them in there, correct?
That's correct. So once the change is made, we'll solicit for applicants for the utility superintendent position, and we'll look at those. We'll review those resumes, and then there'll be an interview process, and the successful candidate will then be offered the job.
Alderman Stacy.
Has the requirements of a utility superintendent position been established?
Go ahead.
The job description has been written and it has been submitted to council approximately 6 weeks ago. Maybe it was a little longer. Yes, so the revised job description is available.
And has been submitted to us? And when was that?
When I came to council the last time to discuss this, that was part of the council packet at that meeting.
But you have no date.
I don't recall off the top of my head when we discussed this the last time. Well, take that back.
Isn't it attached now? Is that not what this is? Or this is just the ordinance change, huh?
We can find an answer, I'm sure. Alderman Sanders,
That's just the ordinance change.
did you have something?
Yeah, but she answered my question.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Stacy.
I feel that if we had a director that had a license where we're paying $100,000 a year for Mr. Darren, that's a position that could be eliminated with the proper license. We wouldn't need to lose that $100,000 for someone's signature. We're not saving because we're going to spend $70,000 to $76,000 a year plus the $100,000. Where is the savings? A director utility operator was not $176,000. I don't see the savings.
Manager Boyer.
Just to address that, the director of utility operations pay scale is approximately $95,000 a year. The public works director, the salary is $107,000 a year. So what we're suggesting or what we're proposing is to instead of hiring a director of utility operations at $95,000, redraw the job description so that there will be a approximately $20,000 savings at the for the utility superintendent versus the director of utility operations. But one way or the other, we still need to have a director of public works Darren's temporarily filling that position while we get organized and deal with our construction season, but that will be coming before.
You already did. You already did. Okay. Alderman Sellers?
Yeah, just a little clarification. So we're saying that with this utility superintendent, it would be 70 to 76,000, right? Okay. Then, and we're bringing it down from the director to superintendent because it would save us the $20,000. And we're using Darren right now because he can use his license or what, or, you know, because what'll happen in a year when we're done with Darren? Okay.
Darren is standing in for the Director of Public Works right now. So different position. It is over the utility and the street department.
Okay. Utility and street. Okay. Thank you.
So
I thought you-
this gets rid of that
And this is,
director position. It's not just taking and filling a different spot. It gets rid of it. It's renaming it. So then this superintendent then will report to the Public Works Director once we get that person in line. But that person is temporarily Darren. Make sense?
got it.
Alderman Sanders, did you have your hand up?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Stacy?
I thought you said, I am sorry, community development guy, I have forgot your name.
Wayne
I'm
Duckman.
sorry, Duckman. I thought you said Duckman was currently filling that position. Darren is currently filling that position, or Duckman?
Go ahead.
Currently, Wayne Duckman is the Community Development Director. Darren Steekel is standing in as the Public Works Director. And we don't currently have a utility director. It's fallen on my plate to continue to do those duties until which time I can get this particular job changed so that we can hire someone as a utility superintendent, which I believe is the right direction to go.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Clem?
just a thought to maybe simplify this a little bit. We've already voted to move it forward, okay? We aren't going to vote on it tonight, so we're going to see it back in 2 weeks. Why don't we come back at that time with an explanation of the dollars and cents each way, so everybody's got it on paper and can understand it, and if there's any question then, we can move it forward, we can do whatever we want to do with it. But that'll give everybody time, and if you've got that beforehand or whenever, that's fine, but it might help explain things a little more.
And Alderman Clem, I agree. And in the memo, in the funding portion of the memo, it lays that out.
Okay?
I was just gonna say, I mean, we see 95,000 minus the 76,000. The 20,000 savings is not a debate, it's not a, I don't understand, it's not a, it's common sense right there. That's not the issue. In the long run, if we had a director with a license, where we're using Darren, we wouldn't need him.
You're still confusing the two spots. If you can think of like the Public Works Director, which is what Darren's filling in and is at the top of that, and underneath he has a couple of individuals that report to him. That would be the street superintendent, that would be the what Director Boyer's trying to put in there with the utility superintendent. Yeah. So those couple of people in different departments report to the Public Works. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Clem?
am I incorrect in saying that you went out for people for the director's position to replace what Rob's doing and put that, or I mean, what Darren's doing and move that forward? No? I mean, that's what you originally?
Go ahead.
Yes, we posted the job at council's request. We let it run for 4 or 6 weeks. We got 4 people. Yes, and this is we're talking about the utility.
Yes, yes.
So the utility director, I was given instruction by the council to go ahead and post the director of utility operations as written. We did that for 4 to 6 weeks. We received 4 applicants, none of which are acceptable, you know. And so I'm coming back to council to say I believe that I'd like to make this change in the into the job description, or change it from utility director to utility superintendent for various reasons. One of them is the fact that we are unable to recruit any qualified candidates at the current wage for the utility director position.
Which then your hopes is that someday, when we get to the point of hiring a public works director, that public works director would have all the necessary qualifications.
That's correct.
So then we would have a public director and a utility superintendent.
Correct.
So that's going to even be more money. That's turning one position into 2.
No, there's always been a public works director. It just hasn't been filled because Manager Boyer has been doing it.
Correct. But there hasn't always been a utility
There
superintendent.
was. It's just he was trying to save us money and was trying to do a million jobs, and now taking on the city manager position, he can't wear that many hats.
Sorry, and I'll just try to explain the hierarchy of it. So at this ordinance, basically, the context of this ordinance, there are 3 positions, okay? And we're trying to turn them into 2, so to speak, okay? You have the Public Works Director position that has always been in existence, and it's at the top, okay? Now, there's another position below the Public Works Director. It is currently referred to as the Director of Utility Operations, okay? There's that position that's currently in existence. We went, and it has certain qualifications that you have to meet in order to hold that job, okay? We went out, or Manager Boyer went out and took applications for about 6 weeks, he said. He got the 4 applicants. None of them were qualified. They didn't meet those qualifications to be the Director of Utility Operations. So what he's proposing now is to say, well, why don't we change that position? Let's retitle that position, okay? Let's retitle that position from Director of Utility Operations to the Utility Superintendent. And with that new title will come a different set of job job qualifications, okay? And along with it, a $20 savings in what's paid to the utility superintendent. Still the same position, one spot, but we're just changing the name of it, changing some of the job responsibilities, and then changing the pay lower there. So that's all we're doing, is changing that position. And hopefully then, because we've changed the qualifications, we'll get a different set or more applicants that will qualify to fill that role. So once that role is filled for the utility superintendent, that's done. Now, then the next step let's tackle filling the Public Works Director position, which has always been in existence. Darren is currently temporarily filling that role, but once that position is filled through the normal hiring process and applications and posting the job and everything, then Darren will just move back to just being the city engineer, and you'll have a Public Works Director as well. So you'll still be back to just the 2 positions right now. But right now, the 1 position, we got to do Rob is suggesting doing just a name change and a job qualification change to try to get some more applicants.
Alderman Stacy?
Okay, so I hear you loud and clear. And what I understand you to be saying, that if we were to agree to have a utility superintendent, then the Director of Utility Operations go away. And it's not going to come back up in a year that I need more help.
Yes, I think I'll defer to Manager Boyer, but yeah, because that position's just being retitled to superintendent instead of, there's so many, utility operation. there.
Okay.
But it's the same position, just with different job qualifications and a different pay.
Is that end our discussion on this and moving on? Okay, we will move on to item number 12, which is the adoption of Resolution 2023-54. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving purchase of asphalt recycler and hot box trailer for street department.
Thank you. Manager Boyer?
Thank you, Your Honor. The city street department's been cold patching potholes and roads, which is an accepted temporary solution to a permanent problem in the roadways. Cold patch asphalt patch cannot be compacted to the same level as asphalt hot mix, and cold patch is much more vulnerable to snow plows and traffic, causing it to dislodge and shatter, and opens the holes, making it susceptible to the elements, causing additional enlargement and another patch repair trip. Last year, the city purchased and installed 400 ton of cold patch asphalt, which cost $140 to $160 per ton to purchase. This product is also regularly available, has regular availability issues. Hot patch repair is a more effective solution to help Freeport streets and will be a large cost savings to the city if able to make it ourselves. With the right equipment, city asphalt grindings from street projects can be used to make the hot patch asphalt. Although the city staff received pricing on an asphalt recycler, approximately $105,545, and a hot box trailer at $46,545. This specialty equipment will lower the cost of asphalt patching to under $30 per ton, last longer, and require less labor. The city staff can store recycled asphalt at the city yards and run the recycler as needed at their own convenience. The equipment from KM International is part of a Sourcewell contract, which is a low bid procurement professional and has been approved by the city. The approved budget includes purchases of 2 dump trucks. Rather than purchasing 2 dump trucks, the city will purchase 1 and use the other available funding to purchase the asphalt recycling equipment. As our staff see, this is more of a priority at this time. The funding will come from the allocated cost of a dump truck to put towards this equipment, which is $100,000 lower than a dump truck. Staff recommends the city council approve the asphalt recycler and hot box trailer. Combined total cost is $152,090 respectively, as well as the allocation of funding coming from the reallocation of 1 dump truck rather than 2 previously budgeted.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-54?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Shadle, seconded by Alderman Clem. Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Clem?
City Manager Boyer, just so we know that right now we're doing a fair amount of street work and stuff at a far less cost than we were having it done by other people, so on and so forth. As you go through buying these products, just a question, how will that affect your current crews? Will you have to change number of people? Will you have to, because as you go into these 2 items, you'll definitely be securing a whole bunch of road work that'll need to be done, you know. Just a question, how does that fit in, or how do we change to do that?
Staff is currently evaluating the 2024 budget, and we'll be requesting for additional people to work in the street department, 1 mechanic, 2 street workers, and an additional forestry crew. Now that gives us operational flexibility, number 1, because it'll give us the staff we need to surge on different projects or cover for people who are out, and it'll also give us just a larger force to be able to run not only our street crew, but also be able to run patching crews when they're not needed.
Alderman Sellers?
Mr. Boyer, could you also help me understand? I know you said how many's on the city workers right now, and you said how many more you would like to add?
Staff is currently planning to submit 4 additional employees for the street department. As I mentioned, 1 would be to assist with the forestry crew, 1 would be an additional mechanic, and 2 would be working in the street crew. That's coming on the heels of this year adding 2 additional street crewmen as well. So we're going to take it a little at a time, see how things work out, and we'll advise council if anything needs to change moving forward. But I believe that'd be a step in the right direction for sure.
I got the 1 for forest and 2 for the street. I missed the other one. You said you needed?
The one's a 3rd mechanic.
A mechanic. Thank you.
Alderman Sanders?
Mayor, I just wanted to ask Dr. Boyer, what kind of staffing are you trying to create with this hot mix and hot box trailer? How many people do you think would be recommended for the work that is going to be enormous, and where does it merge into the bigger asphalt? Because there's got to be a lot of grinding, there's got to be a lot of resurfacing when patching. We just can't send 1 or 2 guys out there trying to reconstruct the patching areas for a better surface. That's the whole purpose of bringing in extra crews who work certain machines, because when we used to have the steamroller and the manpower to get enormous patching work done throughout the city, it required almost a team of people to do this type of work. That means you may be pulling individuals off of the jobs to come in and fulfill these patchwork jobs that are coming into our areas. So what are we planning to do far as getting a decent crew without diminishing all the workers in the Public Works Department to do such a phenomenal job? Because we just can't just start throwing material out there and these guys don't have the manpower to do an efficient job. So how are we going to manage that? What should we implement to get this kind of work done? Because we are not taking pictures of all potholes. All potholes don't have the same material going in and coming out of it, and whatever the case is, because you're going to have a lot of material coming out to reconstruct the patchwork. And then we got to have dump trucks or hauling trucks and manpower with vehicles. I can't hardly see the operation taking off just yet, and anytime soon.
Can you address the manpower issue?
Absolutely. Alderman Sanders, the current street crew, we've been kind of moving incrementally forward. Essentially what we did to find out what our needs were for the repaving crew was we pulled in all of our people, whether they were forestry, whether they were, regardless of where they worked for the city, in the street department and around the street department, Public Works Department. And we found out through trial and error how many people we need to run a paving crew. We added 2 additional staff last year to supplement our crew. That's shown good promise, but now we're looking at doing 2 things now. One is going to be doing a lot more patching, and we're looking at doing a lot more paving in-house. So what we've got now, I think, is in terms of our paving crew is of a minimum number, but it's effective. And then I'm asking for a couple of additional people to join the street crew for the patching portion so that they can go out and use the new patching machine and get the potholes taken care of. And then we'll reevaluate. So it's a process. It's kind of a cyclical process. You take everybody, you look at what you can accomplish. You say, okay, we need a couple more people here. You bring them in, you measure it, you see what you're doing, and then you add an additional duty. For instance, this hot mix recycling patch machine, and you bring a couple other folks in there and see how we do that. But if we throw too many people all at the same time into a problem, you may get less effective because of the fact that not everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Alderman Sanders?
Yeah, because there's got to be training involved in this equipment. And we got to either have experienced asphalt patchers or somebody coming in doing the demonstration of how to function, how to get this thing going. So I think with that coming ahead, I like to see it work. I like to see it take off, because we're not getting much done at this point in time. And so let us concentrate and focus on what is needed immediately, and training is one of them. Okay?
Sir,
Oh, I'm
Alderman
sorry.
Sellers?
No, I guess that's what I was gonna ask too, with what Larry said about training with these machines, you know, because I'm pretty sure they're very expensive. You said that. And so would Darren be doing the training, or who would be doing the training, or is that a fee that will?
Actually, he said he'd like to address that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
So we demoed this equipment this last week with the street crews, just to make sure that it was a quality product that we wanted to purchase. And so we did a full training day with it, or half a training day with it, just to make sure the street crew was excited about using it. It's patch equipment. It's not full street replacement. So it's basically potholing, but with hot patches, and we can do utility cuts with it as well. The price that Rob showed you for the equipment includes full training days with the equipment, with the hot box and the recycler. The recycler's portable, so we could actually take it out to sites and recycle right in place, which is a great benefit. I actually tell you guys, the street crews were pretty excited about this machine. It gives us a ability to really do quality patchwork, which should eliminate the need to go back and do more patchwork. Cold patch is really the enemy of the street. It's considered temporary. It's never supposed to stay in the hole. It's designed to always be like a glued type of material. Once you hit it, it'll go away. The patches that we do in the future, if you purchase this equipment, will stay in place. We'll provide our guys more time to go fix another place, and we're fixing them one time instead of 15 times. And really, the cost of just savings of the patch will pay for these machines. With the amount of tonnage that we're using every year, when we grind our streets, we don't have a grinder, so we have to contract that out. So all the patch material will be free, other than the oil that we need. And basically, this is a giant burning tub that we set the asphalt back on fire, make it molten again, and then we can make a quality patch. Anybody that wants to see the patch we did at Revere and Ridge, and we did probably like a 14 by 14 patch that is really a quality product, and we'll never have to revisit that spot.
Can you talk again just slightly about the cost difference? Cold patch is like $160 a ton.
So this last year, it varies in price all the time. We bought cold patch between $140 a ton and $150 because there's a window of availability for it, and we're dependent on a third-party source to get it. And the city buys it, and so there's certain periods during the winter, if they don't want to fire the plant up, they don't make it, we don't have any. The oil product, they actually use the same recycled grinds that come off of our projects to make it. They just do a different oil batching for it, so it's actually the same thing, but it's a very expensive product to make. By us making ourselves, we will be under $30 a ton to make this, so we'll clearly, I calculated quickly about a $50,000 a year annual savings to the street department budget by buying this equipment. The equipment is 100% American made in Michigan. We can source parts overnight if we need to. The first recycler they ever made was about 15 years ago. They just took that one off the market and brought it back in, and that person that bought it bought another trailer. Just a really neat machine. It does, I don't want to say it's specialized equipment, but it is very specialized. The guys need to learn how to use it, and once they learn how to use it, it'll be very effective for Freeport, bringing our streets and patching up to a better level. Cold patch, basically we put it in the hole, it gets drove over, it flies out of the hole, we send guys back to patch it. There's holes by my street that have been patched 15 times already this summer. It's a waste of money.
And time.
The other thing we can do is the hot mix that we use on the current streets to use. Currently, we have to order a certain amount. With this recycler, we can take that hot mix and we can store that down at the yards, and we can use that for hot mix. So we will truly have no waste whatsoever with the street department. The patch that we did at Ridge and Revere last week, to Mr. Sanders' point, yes, you have to have a prep crew in front, cleaning up the holes, shaping them, making them square and all that stuff. But we actually dug out the asphalt out of the street, threw it in a pile, and we needed more material, and we just threw it right in the container, threw some oil in it, heated it up, and put it right back in the street. So there's literally no waste.
Yes.
Alderman Sanders?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and all of those things that you described is something that I used to do back in the day. But we didn't have an edger. We had the saw blade cutting to make the edges, and then as you are speaking, you said fillers. Use the material stuff where you don't have to necessarily use big trucks to haul it away. You just do edges with the machine you quoted?
No, we have walking saws that we cut
so you
square
do
holes so we
use
get square
them.
corners. We
So
do.
you do
Yep. It's
still
still a
use
manual
them.
process. Then on the one we did this week, we brought the old Vactor truck in, and we
Yeah.
used the Vactor to excavate the hole and get it down to 4 inches. So we did a 4-inch patch, and it was even. We can go back and crack seal the edges so water doesn't get back in, and it's a quality repair that should, last for 10 to 15 years.
Absolutely. I agree with that. That's got me going.
And like I said, cold patch is one of the most expensive products that the city staff, the street department buys annually. That is one of our largest expenses that we can't control.
Right.
But we will be able to control it with the recycler.
Very good, very good.
Alderman Monroe?
Yes, Madam Mayor. If this equipment is passed, I think one thing that needs to be looked at is the destruction of some of our newer streets, the damage caused by utilities, not necessarily our own utilities, other utility companies, and that what the charges and fees that we charge to fix these properly. Because one of the biggest problems I've noticed as I've driven around town are those holes, they're back in a moment's notice, and the street doesn't get fixed. So it leads to deterioration of the rest of the street as well, and it really causes a lot of problems. So I think this is a great thing, and I'll have to check out the patch. I haven't seen it yet.
Alderman Sanders?
Yes, Mayor. In agreement with, I concur with what you just said, but we should also design a better way. Also, we should look better ways, not just to patch a circular hole. It's spent out real quick. It never lasts long. Is try to get a measurement size and then score it that way. And then we gain more defective holes all grouped together and then make it one smooth surface. Can we do that?
So one of the things I'd like to point out with James, so between Ms. Richter, Mr. Duckman, Mr. Boyer, myself, and City of Streets Department, we are working diligently behind the scenes to fix the utility issues in town, holding the contractors and the utility partners accountable for their damages. I'm big on that.
Yeah.
We're already seeing a difference. We're making them permit. We're keeping track of it. We have inspectors checking up on that. We realize that over the years, there's been a lot of damage done by the fiber lines and things being run. So that's on our purview, and Rob's been doing a great job directing us on making our team work together to solve that, and we are solving it every day. Code enforcement is starting to issue fines for contractors that don't comply, and we are going to start force patching things and back charging the contractors for work that needs to be done.
Very good.
Okay, so let's try to get back to the issue of purchasing the recycler. Yes, so is there questions concerning this resolution?
Yes. No, I just want to say that I am for this. I'm ready to see it work in our community. I just ask, can you do the street by Fire Station 2 so we can see? The Fire Station 2 on that side road, Iroquois, where they have to park is all kinds of holes. I'd like to see it used there. But I'm very happy to see that we're doing something. Thank you.
Alderman Monroe?
Yes, and one quick question. How well does it work in the winter? Because that's when we see our crews out doing a lot of these patches.
So that's something unique about this recycler that we picked over other ones. So this burner unit on this unit can heat the asphalt up to 500 degrees. So in the winter months, we'll still attain 400. 360 degrees Fahrenheit is the low temperature for applying asphalt. So we will be able to hot patch during the winter. And that's why we're asking for the hot box as well, because we can make 4 tons of recycled materials, and the hot box keeps it essentially warm for up to 2 days. That way we can be out patching. We can have 2 different crews. The trailer, they're both trailer mounted units, so they can go behind any vehicle. But the bigger unit, the recycler itself, is made for doing utility patches that are, 14 by 14, 15 by 15. The hot box is designed to go out and do, your patches, your ripple patches that you might get at intersections or something like that. Again, we're not going to solve it all in one day, but this will help us catch up faster.
Alderman Sanders?
I'd like to see this project start today. That's what I like.
You know how government works?
Yeah, but the thing is, that's wishful thinking. But the act of our city operating, showing some kind of demonstration that something is about to happen. Everybody in the town will be saying something is going down. So that's what I like to see happening immediately, and we need to get a resolution going as quick as possible, because we shouldn't have to go through this during the wintertime.
So we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Shadle, seconded by Alderman Clem to adopt Resolution 2023-54. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe?
Aye.
Simmons?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Sellers?
Aye.
And Clem.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 8-0.
Item number 13 is the adoption of Resolution 2023-55. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving memorandum of understanding with the Fraternal Order of Police for signing and retention bonuses.
Thank you. Chief Schenberger.
On June 5th, 2018, the Freeport Police Department had 48 sworn officers. Within the past 5 years, the department has struggled to reach maximum staffing level. 5 officers have resigned from the department to work for other law enforcement agencies that offer better pay and benefits within the past 3 years, prior to attaining 3 years of service. The department has also lost more experienced officers to other agencies and lost experienced officers to careers outside of law enforcement. In June, I was made aware of a recruitment and retention grant being offered through the State of Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. I submitted a grant application and a recruitment and retention plan on June 26, 2023. 4 days later, on June 30th, 2023, I was informed that my grant had been approved, with an effective date being June 30th, 2023 until December 31st, 2024. Strategic plan alignment, it's a safe and welcoming community to hire and retain a diverse team. The Freeport Police Department was awarded a recruitment and retention grant in the amount of $52,000. This money will be dispersed by the Finance Department when the following criteria is met. There's new officer retention bonuses, and by new, the grant requirements, they wanted to show an emphasis on agencies who's lost at least 10% of our manpower of officers with less than 3 years of experience. So that's kind of why the focal point is with officers first year, second year, and third year. So a first-year officer would be paid $500 on their first anniversary. $750 would be paid on an officer's second anniversary, and $1,000 paid on an officer's third anniversary. A lateral incentive bonus that would pay $5,000, $2,500 to that qualified lateral officer after successful completion of the field training program, and another $2,500 to be paid after successfully completing the probationary period. It's also an experienced officer retention bonus, so $500 to be paid to officers with 4 or more years of service on December 31st. Also, as in the recruiting plan, we came up with a ride-along incentive. This was to help recruit candidates who may not know the particulars of the Freeport Police Department and what the department can offer. The department would use these grant funds, although a small portion, to purchase a $50 prepaid gift card as an incentive to a potential candidate who agrees to participate in a ride-along and then view an informative excuse me, recruitment video. There is no funding necessary. The bonuses also should expire following the exhaustion of the funding available from the grant, and no other further payments would be made. So the staff requests the city to enter an MOU with the FOP, and then this memo was attached to that.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-55?
So move. Second.
Alderman Clem and Alderman Shadle. Chief, I have a question. In the memo, it says that it would be effective from June 30th, 2023 until December 31st. Is that 2023 or 2024?
Yeah, that's a typo. That's my error. It's
So it's
December
24?
31st, 2024. So it's good for a year and a half.
Okay, so does that mean that the 52,000 has to be spent by the end of 24?
That's correct.
And with the numbers that you have estimated for these different bonuses, do you anticipate that you will get that all gone, or you don't want to leave something out there?
Just with the numbers that we have right now, I anticipate that that should be really close to being exhausted by December 31st, 2024.
And if it wasn't, could we come back and say what we want to maybe do with the rest of it to give more bonuses?
Well, my hope is that this is something that will continue on. It's a federal grant actually that's managed by ILETSB, or dispersed by ILETSB, a state agency, and there's $10 million available. So I'm hoping that this is something that continues on. I feel like they're recognizing that there's definitely a need for this, so I'm hoping to reapply.
Yeah, because I think that your numbers are great. The only thing that I would say in my gut I would like to see more of is more than $500 for our officers that are 4 years and more. But I understand you want to stay within your grant limit, so.
Sure, and I didn't want to be, look too greedy either, because I knew Chicago PD was gonna try to apply for a big portion of this, so.
Alderman Sellers.
Yes, I would also like to, I have to agree with the mayor with, I think that with the ride-alongs, I guess I was misunderstanding. I thought you were wanting community ride-alongs.
Oh, no.
But these are just, you want people that are interested in becoming an officer. So I would like to also see more of the incentives or whatever go out to the police department, since the money is for, the actual police, that's what we're losing. I think that they should get different bonuses for, hey, they worked more overtime. So, anything, but just to keep them and to bring up the morale. But I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Just about the gift cards too. So what we're finding is, like, we'll have applicant or people who are interested, but they really don't know, I don't know which department I want to work for and stuff like that. So like recently we had a guy, he's from the area, he's a senior in college, he wants a career in law enforcement. He wasn't sure if it was going to be Freeport PD or another agency. Well, he did a ride-along, and then he just loved it, and he's like, oh, this is where I want to apply, in 6 months or so. So we're thinking that maybe the gift card thing might be, all right, a way to get somebody in the door. So, but it's going to be something that a ride-along is planned, so we usually know when they're going to do a ride-along. So we won't have 10 of them on hand. If we know that there's going to be somebody that's going to do a ride-along, you'll buy the gift card, and that way we can keep as much money in the fund for the officers who are already working here. So.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers, and Clem.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 8-0.
And item number 14 is the adoption of Resolution 2023-56. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving memorandum of understanding with Fraternal Order of Police regarding specialty pay.
Thank you. Chief Schenberger?
I would defer to Attorney Zito on this one.
Thank you, Chief. So this next memorandum of agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police it's just a housekeeping matter. It started with just cleaning up a typographical error that was discovered in the union contract. There was a reference, as a part of the last time the union contract was negotiated, there was a paragraph I that was deleted. got rid of it. However, in another section, there was still a reference to that paragraph I. It's been discovered recently, so now we're just cleaning up the fact that there is no paragraph I, so now we're just deleting that reference to the paragraph I. So if you look in the draft MOU that's in your packets there, you'll see in that section H, we're deleting that paragraph I and renumbering the paragraphs accordingly there. The other thing too that this clarifies is that the specialty pay, so specialty pay if an officer is part of the K-9 unit, specialty pay if they are serving as a field training officer, you know, if they have certain certifications like a breathalyzer certification, they get additional pay for that. We're not changing any of that, not changing any of the amounts or anything like that, but they get those pays at certain times of year. All we're doing, we're not changing when they're getting it, but we're just making it clear that, for example, you know, if they're part of the K-9 unit, that the stipend will be paid biweekly on a pro rata basis. We're just writing it right in there. That's what they get. That's how it's paid now, but we're just making it clear so that you don't have to refer back to other sections to find out when do they get the specialty paid. For example, if they are a FTO, a field training officer, they get that also biweekly on a pro rata basis. If they are part of the use of force instructor, they get that as a lump sum. Paid in the first pay period of January. Again, nothing's changing about those terms. We're just physically writing it into the agreement, and the union said that this is a good idea to make it more clear so we don't have to go searching around through the agreement to find out when these people get paid. So this is a housekeeping memorandum of agreement, and the staff would ask that the memorandum of agreement be approved.
So I need a
Motion to approve?
Second.
we have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Shadle. Further discussion, council? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers, and Clem.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted, 8-0.
Item number 15 is the adoption of Resolution 2023-57. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving emergency purchase of 2023 Ram 1500 for the fire department.
Chief Miller.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This evening, I bring in front of council a problem that we discovered last Thursday about 4 p.m. Next Tuesday, we are sending 3 firefighters to Rockford for paramedic school. This school will involve, on average, 4 days a week going from Freeport to Rockford. And again, those 3 will be going for about 9 months. Included in classroom is also didactic and clinical time at various hospitals. So anticipating those folks going off to school, our mechanic was going to check out the school car for maintenance. He's going to check the brakes, the fluid levels, and make sure it was structurally sound. So once he pulled off the rear wheels to look at the brakes, he noticed that a torsion bar, a suspension piece, had rusted through and broken into 2 pieces.
Oh.
So we're like, that's terrible. So we were able to get a replacement part through a local parts distributor. So we thought we're going to be good to go. Once he looked at the frame to see where that suspension part bolts to, the pictures that you have in front of you show that the frame is completely rusted through, cracked and broken, and also into 2 pieces. So that was the passenger side. We went around and we looked at the driver's side. That similar bracket is also cracked all the way through, but is not separated as much. So we put our heads together. How are we going to resolve this issue? Our first call was to the local Chevrolet dealer. They said, that's a frame item that's constructed when the frame's being built. There are no frame parts available. So now wanting to take that as an answer, we went to the same local parts distributor. They said they do not manufacture frame parts. So our last option was to take it to a automotive repair shop. Talk to them about fabricating a bracket and welding it onto the frame. We're going to make our own bracket that we can't buy in the store. So they looked at that and said, we can make a bracket, but your frame is so rusted, it won't it won't adhere to the existing frame. They said, your car needs to go away. Your car is no longer operational. So with that, we recognize the sense of urgency to come up with transportation for these 3 firefighters going to paramedic school next week. So what we typically do in the situation with vehicles, I looked at my next oldest vehicle. What one's going to be replaced next? So that turned out to be our fire marshal's Ram pickup truck. It's a 2012 with 98,000 miles on it. So that's getting kind of worn as well. So my thinking is to downgrade that truck to a school car, which is perfect. They can put their turnout gear, their fire coat and pants in there. They can put their air tanks in there instead of in a passenger compartment area that's locked up in a back compartment. And then replace her car with an entry-level pickup truck serving the same capacity that her old one does. So that provides her with the same ability to carry tools and shovels and investigation equipment. It downgrades her existing one, thus preserving the useful life of it. That truck was scheduled to be replaced in the 2025 year budget. So we take and downgrade her truck. That serves as a school education car. It allows for gear and equipment to be transported. We get her into an entry-level pickup truck, which will serve the same purpose and provide another 12 years of service that we anticipate, if not longer. So by doing that, we recognize timing. Time is of the essence here, which is why I frame this as an emergency request or an urgent request, because it's not in the budget right now. It was going to be in the 2025 budget. The current car is not safe to drive, and we're already starting to strip fire department parts, radios, lights, and things of that off of that vehicle. And then lastly, money is in the budget in the fire improvement plan. It just wasn't allocated for that vehicle for this particular budget year. So in the fire improvement fund, that's not funded by taxpayer money either. That is through Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, out-of-town residents that we transport. So it's not an additional burden to the taxpayers. So looking at how can we legally acquire a new vehicle. So I looked at Carl Emergency Vehicles in Des Moines, Iowa, Curry Motors in Forest Park. Those are state purchasing contract dealerships that have been already gone through the bid process, and they were awarded the bids for those specific vehicles. And then, as you can see, this Des Moines, Iowa was $48,782 for a pickup truck. Curry Motors was $55,752. And I thought, let's see if we can engage a local merchant, a dealer here in town, keep the business local. So speaking with Barco, they came up with a Tradesman, which is an entry-level vehicle, no frills to it, no additional amenities to it. And the original sticker was $50,900 plus. So they currently have rebates available, thus reducing the cost of that vehicle down to $44,520. So our local dealer is beating out state-awarded contracts. Plus, they can locate that vehicle within 1 day. The Curry Motors in Forest Park, we would have to order it. It would be available in the spring. And then Des Moines, Iowa also has one in stock. It made sense to me to ask for this transition program of our existing vehicle down to a school car, provide a new response vehicle for a fire marshal, and also keep the purchase local within our own town.
So is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-57?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Shadle, seconded by Alderman Sellers. Discussion? Yes.
So are you saying that the other car dealers these are newer cars or older cars? I'm sorry. I know the one that we're looking at to purchase is the 2023 Ram pickup. Is that the one we're gonna buy from Barco?
Yes, that would be my proposal. And also being an urgent purchase in nature, we would need to waive or suspend the purchasing rules. But again, the other two options do comply with purchasing policy because they're state-awarded bids. But we would not have a vehicle as fast as we need it. Plus, we'd be spending more money.
I guess I was just asking, what year were these cars?
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's all right.
The Des Moines, Iowa, and the Barco is 23 is our current model year. And my understanding is that the Curry Motors, the higher priced one, the window's open right now to order, and I'm assuming it's for 24.
Oh, okay.
If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy, Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
No.
The resolution is adopted 7-1.
Thank you. Item number 16 is the adoption of Resolution 2023-58. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving purchase of a utility compactor roller for the street department.
Thank you. Manager Boyer?
Thank you, Your Honor. Utilizing city equipment and staff, the city street department has been paving roads, patching potholes, and repairing large segments of roadway that were previously contracted out projects. As the city's paving operations become more efficient, the use of a new utility compactor roller would prove to be beneficial to the crews and would be a logical next piece of equipment to replace some of our typical equipment for paving operations. City staff received a pricing quote on a utility compactor roller in the amount of $67,500. The two current street rollers are in need of replacement as they are aged, and one that has had some fire damage. A new compactor roller will provide a better compaction for the street repairs and installation of hot mix asphalt. The equipment from Alto for CAT is part of a Sourcewell contract, which is a low bid procurement for professionals and has been approved by the city. The approved budget includes the purchase of 2 dump trucks, as mentioned in the last memo. Rather than purchasing 2, the city wants to move forward with ordering 1 dump truck and then using the budgeted funds to not only purchase the patch equipment, but as well as this additional roller. So staff recommends City Council approve the utility compact roller for $67,500, as well as the allocation of funds coming from the relocation of 1 dump truck rather than 2 previously budgeted.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-58?
So move.
So move.
We have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Sanders. Is there discussion? Oh, Alderman Stacy?
What was the price on the dump truck?
The dump truck was about $240,000.
Did we,
Alderman Sanders.
I'm sorry. Did we shop here in our own city?
For a roller?
No, for the dump truck.
The dump truck? Well, the dump trucks are basically, we did an estimate, so we haven't shopped around yet. We are putting together a bid specification, and we'll be ordering that specifically built for the city specification. So, but when we put the budget together, we're estimating over $240,000 per dump truck, and the lead times are very long. So reallocating these funds toward paving equipment and patching equipment is actually a pretty good use of the funds because we'll have access to that equipment now instead of waiting 2 years for a dump truck to show up.
Are we trading this in for a new dump truck?
No, not this time. This would be all the remaining budgeted dump truck will be a new dump truck, and we'll be rotating out our oldest one and selling that at a state auction.
Yeah, but are we trading anything?
No, sir.
We have not attempted, not trading it in?
Well, this is about the roller. So the
You're on
two pieces of,
roller. I was on the truck.
sure, we're not purchasing a
we're-
truck with this memo.
We have to stay on our, what's before us. So the resolution is
part of it.
for,
That was my description of how we're paying for the new roller. So we didn't specifically budget for this roller. What we're doing is we're saying, well, we're going to use the funds from one of the two dump trucks that we budgeted for and use that toward the roller instead of buying two dump trucks.
Now, what type of roller are we talking about? A vehicle roller type or a pull by trailer type?
It is self-propelled. So
again?
it's self-propelled roller, just like a large street roller.
Oh.
This one's a medium-sized one.
I think there are pictures in the packet, correct?
There are.
Alderman Stacy?
Do we have a state purchasing dealership like the fire department?
Oh, okay,
Go ahead.
Yes, Sourcewell dealers are authorized to purchase directly from because they are participating with the state's bid process. So they've been certified by the state as a Sourcewell dealer, and that status means that we can purchase directly from them. They have, according to the state, the competitive prices that are in line, yes.
And they're the most reasonable.
For construction equipment, a Sourcewell dealer is going to be your most reasonable, absolutely.
yeah, this,
Alderman Sanders?
yeah, this looked like a qualified piece of equipment that can get the job done. All right.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Sanders. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons. Aye. Barker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 8-0.
And item number 17 is approval of a bid. Could you please read this?
Approval of bids with a bid opening on August 2nd, 2023 to add a drainage system and regrade the lawn west of the City Hall building.
Manager Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city of Freeport has had issues with stormwater drainage here at the City Hall property. When the current building was updated and remodeled, the west side drainage was to run to an underground detention French drain system by city staff that is not capable of handling large rain events and backs up, then discharges rainwater into the lower level of City Hall regularly. Design plans were assembled to regrade the site away from the building, tie the downspouts into a discharge point away from the building, and improve the sidewalks on the west side of City Hall. On Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023, City of Freeport held bid openings for the City Hall Drainage Improvement Project. The 4 bids received were from Porter Brothers Construction, LLC, Entrec Group, LLC, and Fisher Excavating and Nykamp Construction, LLC. Improvements and upgrades to the existing City Hall storm water system are necessary to discharge the water responsibly and to discontinue the water damage to the City Hall lower level. City staff has budgeted funding for building repairs to City Hall, and it's a recommendation of city staff to move forward with the project and award contract to Porter Brothers Construction in the amount of $34,436.35. This was the low bidder on the project and was in line with the estimated construction costs.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the bid as stated?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Sellers. Alderman Sanders, did you have something you wanted to ask?
Is it open for discussion? Oh, okay. I was just curious on the recommendation of the bidding of this particular item and how we come to the conclusion that we should go out for bids on a project that I thought we had manpower that can accommodate this kind of a operation to divert this water from the City Hall and make sure that we can do this thing properly, even with our own manpower. I thought we had this type of opportunities within our own workforce. that we can get this job done without having to throw up our hands for bids to get it done. I don't know what kind of qualification our staff, our workers have, but I mean, if we got all this manpower and equipment, then we should be able to draw up a plan to conquer this thing without having to go to the first thing we do is go to bidding out these types of projects. I'm just curious, is there any other way that we can do that
Manager Boyer, can you
without
answer that?
bidding it out?
Yes, Alderman. So this particular project, I believe, was done 7 or 8 years ago. We've had a substantial amount of, we've had some turnover. Some of our most senior people have retired. So currently, I think it's best if we contract this work out to someone who does this type of work every day, because at the time that this was done, it was originally done by the city, and we are having issues.
You're setting me up for an argument, and I don't want to argue with you on what the potential of people qualifications are, because that seems like the job description doesn't fit the workforce if that's who we are. If we have short projects, small projects, or whatever, we shouldn't have to bid it out every time. I think we should give our workers opportunities to gain those kinds of skills, because they'll never gain those skills if we're bidding things out and our guys standing around holding their hands in their pockets and things of that nature. I don't think we're trying hard enough. And if we're not trying hard enough, then I guess that's the reason why we'll bid everything out. I think we should potentially have evaluated our people. Evaluate our people just to see what kind of handful of guys that we do have, and put them to the test to do these little side jobs, because they can't be that complicated.
Well, that's where his decision process is. If he thought he had the qualified individuals, he would have done that, but he didn't, so he felt putting the bid out. But Darren wanted to add to that process.
So frankly, by evaluation right now, respectfully, we don't have the manpower to do this function right now. We have all hands on deck working on streets, curbs, ADA ramps for the foreseeable future for the road project this year. And due to the staffing shortages we have in the street department and the utility department, we are borrowing and stealing them from site to site every day just to get the work accomplished right now. And we have quite a few overtime hours as well. So just that's why we had to bid this project, is we just don't have the manpower.
Alderman Monroe?
Yes, ma'am. Quick question. So the letter that was sent over says 34,436.35. The spreadsheet says 35,436. Is that a typo between the two?
I think it must be a typo. I believe the bid was 35, which is right at our estimate. Our estimate was 35.5.
Madam Clerk, is that a typo?
Yes.
You would know better.
Yeah. It is off the bid calculation sheet. It's 35.
Alderman Sanders?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, how did you justify those figures?
We use average calculations based on engineering estimates that we do all the time based off project work within the area. How many manpower hours we think it would take, the equipment, how many people to do it. When City Hall was done, there's no drainage close to this site, so they created a French well over here on this side of the building. We actually did some exploratory stabbing of it. It's full of mud and debris and leaves into the system right now, so it can't handle the water, which backs it up down the stairwell over here, which makes it run into the basement of City Hall. And we have drywall that's damaged. We have mold damage that we need to take care of. And due to this, every time we get a heavy, which is more than a 10-year rain event, we have backup in the basement.
Alderman Stacy?
How long has this been happening?
Since I've been here, we've had several heavy rains, and during each one of the heavy rains, we had the carpet in the lower level get wet as the water kind of seeps up through the foundation due to the fact that it's not getting away from the outside foundation wall.
Alderman Sellers?
Yes, I'd like to know who did it in the first place? Who was the construction people that put it together?
It was the city staff that did value work for City Hall. They're the ones that did that work.
You mean, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Alderman Sanders?
Do we know exactly the entry of the water that's coming through? Have we had a visual camera operation to visualize where this water is coming from, or did we do a dye flow to detect the directions of this defect?
No, sir. We
have
don't
not
need
done-
to. We can see it running down the steps.
Well, I'm,
runs right in the
I'm
door.
saying the pinpoint entry, where could we get that from? The pinpoint entry of this water.
The
Can you
pinpoint
actually-
entry
Can you
is
actually
the
see the
stairwell
water?
downstairs.
Where the water starts and it ends?
Yes, sir. Comes right in the door.
Wow.
Alderman Stacy?
Where will the funding be coming from for this project?
As mentioned, the funding was budgeted for City Hall maintenance. We were planning to use it for tuck pointing, but because this is,
I'm sorry, you were planning on using it?
we were planning to use it for tuck pointing, the outside of the
Okay.
bricks.
Yeah.
We'll just budget for tuck pointing next year because I'd like to get this water issue taken care of so that we don't have an ongoing issue in the lower level.
And how much was budgeted this year for City Hall?
I'm gonna have to ask the finance director to help with that.
It's over 200,000 altogether.
Look, I gotta go clean my ears out for this one.
Any other questions?
Oh, yes,
Alderman
ma'am,
Stacy?
I'm sorry.
Should be noted too that this bid is for the exterior work. The interior work was not bid because we can't fix that till we fix the outside problem.
At 200-some thousand.
No.
No, this is
This bid is 35,000. 200 was bid for the
Budgeted.
budgeted for all of City
2020.
Hall maintenance.
Got you.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Clem?
if I can add a little history to that, if everybody's sitting around saying, why have we got $200,000 in the budget for tuck pointing? It's because we didn't have $200,000 for tuck pointing 8 years ago when they built the building. There were certain items that were cut out then, and that was one of the ones. There was a certain amount of tuck pointing done, and the rest was going to be put off till later.
Wow.
So that's where it came from. When it came to the end, as far as dollars and cents for the project, to make the project work, that was spread out for future use.
And maintenance is vital. Alderman Stacy?
I don't understand what you're saying. Tuck what?
Tuck
point, it's a brick, like the bricking?
Yes.
The grout joints in between the brick, they grind those out and then they fill them with concrete. They grind out at least 3/8 of an inch and then come back in and fill it with concrete so it stays. So
Kind
that
of
was,
like seal coating asphalt, how important it is to keep the moisture out, same thing.
It's a very labor-intensive project, and $200,000 might not even cover the entire building. We were planning on doing it in pieces.
And who won the bid for this?
Porter Brothers.
Porter Brothers?
Yep, they're out of Sterling Rock Falls area.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Clem, seconded by Alderman Sellers for the drainage system and regrade. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Monroe,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
and Clem.
Aye.
The motion passes 8-0.
And item number 18 is another bid approval, if you could read.
This had a bid opening on August 2nd, 2023 for the Willow Tank Bypass Cushion for water main breaks.
Thank you. Manager Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city of Freeport has been subject to a significant number of water main breaks taking place throughout the city. Many of these breaks have been attributed to excess pressure in the lines originating from water hammer. Test piloting was done to determine the result. To remedy the issue, a new valve and mag meter transmitter are needed to be installed at the existing line within the existing concrete vault near the Willow tank to allow city operating staff better capability of controlling pressure and flow at this location through SCADA. On Wednesday, August 2nd, the city of Freeport held a bid opening for the Willow Tank Bypass project. The single bid received was from Fisher Excavating. Improvements and upgrades to the existing water distribution system near the Willow Tank is necessary to mitigate the number of water main breaks taking place within the distribution system. These break repairs average $10,000 each. The city will fund this needed bypass control through the Capital Improvement Fund, and it is recommended that city move forward with the project and award the contract to Fisher Excavating in the amount of $100. Equipment is estimated at 12 to 16 weeks to receive.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this bid as stated?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Monroe, seconded by Alderman Clem. Discussion? Alderman Stacy?
You know, it seemed like we can pull money out of our hats for everything except these darn streets. And I don't understand it, and it's disturbing and discouraging.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Monroe.
I agree. This stuff has been put off for so long, but part of the reason the streets get damaged is because of these water main breaks. And all of us living over on the west side of town have really, especially the northwest side of town, have had our fair share of water main breaks. We just had one recently outside of the mobile home community at the top of the hill, just across from where I live. And it caused damage to the people that live there. So, these things are really impacting the citizens of our community. They're impacting a lot of people who don't necessarily have the means to clean up and take care of things and have the insurance to do it. So this is a very important project for not just, a few of us here in the community, but the community at whole, because these waves that transmit along these water mains really cause a lot of problems, especially, we've been lucky, in my opinion, with the winter weather recently, that we've not gotten more breaks. And I think that's a testament to the hard work the men and women are doing over at the water department, as well as, all of our city employees. So that's a great thing. But this is something that I think is very, very important to the safety of our drinking water. It protects our roads that we are fixing. And so those are all good things. And, I hope everybody will vote to move this forward tonight.
Alderman Sanders?
I concur. I know what you're talking about. And I was talking to my city manager in regards to whether or not we have resolutions or anything going on that can help resolve a lot of the things that you're talking about. And we had this question for many years, and never could come up with a conclusion. Only thing that we had going on was crossing our fingers during the winter times and things like that. And I'm sure that there's ways to minimize the hammering in our water system. We just have not found that just yet. So Manager Boyer is diligently seeking those opportunities out. I commend him for doing that because I didn't think they had anything in place. One of my ideas was, did we attempt to add bulkheads at the end of these intersections of these hydrants and things of that nature to tamper down? the hammering and the lines. And when I heard his scenario, I said, well, anyway, we all grown folks here. So but anyway, I just want to commend him for stretching out there to come up with something, because really we had really nothing. So we suffered a lot of water main breaks.
Alderman Parker?
Yeah, totally agree with you. Just a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, we had one down on Revere and Ridge. While I'm talking to them people, they had another one on Homer Street. I mean, all at the same time. I mean, so they're breaking right and left. We need to get that fixed. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Alderman Stacey, I really believe that everybody that's sitting here has the same desire of getting our roads fixed. In 2017, I'm going to guess that our road budget was around $300,000. And just off the top of your head, what are we spending this year on roads? How many? $6 million just for roads.
Are you serious?
And Adams is 10, and that includes all the other parts that aren't just roads. So if you look back just to 2017, it's a huge difference. We all have that same. Alderman Sellers, or I'm sorry, Sanders.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Everybody is pretty much right on this. Those water mains do tear up the highway and the road. Not only that, because it takes such a impact, and it really moves the ground. It really will shake the ground if you're standing near a water main break. And so, watching them tear up new roads, I don't think we should be in that business to lay down new asphalt and then let the water mains come along and just rip it up. You know, so yeah, that's a done deal for us. I believe I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing to it, assuming everybody else is going to agree with it. You know.
Okay, so this bid is for the Willow Tank bypass cushion. We have a motion on the floor. Madam Clerk?
Ready,
please
Madam?
take the roll.
Monroe?
Aye.
Simmons?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Sellers? And Clem.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 19, reports of department heads. Finance?
Thank you, Your Honor. This evening, I'd just like to inform council that department heads have begun their process for developing their 2024 budget requests. Along with that, I dispersed a tentative schedule to everyone this evening of our schedule of meetings beginning in September through the end of the year. And just to point out on that schedule, there are a couple special meetings in order for us to cover all of this material. We've laid all that out on the schedule. So just wanted to bring that to your attention.
And that's tentative.
Tentative.
Community development?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Fire?
Thank you, Your Honor. No report this evening.
Thank you. Police?
I have nothing tonight.
Thank you. Library?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to report, we've officially ended our summer reading program, and Amanda will be back to give a report on in the future at one of the cows. However, last week we did our first ever end of summer reading party, and we did have 400 people attend at the Art Plaza. So that was just a defining moment of how successful the summer has been.
Wow, that's amazing. Nice job. IT? Thank you. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just wanted to report that the new water treatment plant has passed its last regulatory hurdle and has been authorized to begin production. So I expect within the next week or so, we'll begin producing water from the new water treatment plants and supplying it for the city.
Thank you. And I would just like to remind not only the council, but those in listening that this Saturday night is cruise night. The lot's open at 4 o'clock. The food court is open from 4 till 9. They have a few contests throughout the evening, some music by Free Fall, and then the open cruise lasts from 7 until 9 o'clock. So Just a fun thing to be a part of the community. Council announcements, Alderman Monroe.
No, yeah, cruise night was one I was going to throw out there as well. We've had several really good events lately in the downtown area. I'd shout out to everybody who's been working on a lot of those projects. I've been very, very impressed by the effort that's been put forward. We just recently had our county fair as well, and that seemed better attended and much better than it has been in recent years. So, congratulations to all of those folks that are putting that on. And as we go into the fall season, there's a lot of different events coming up in our community. So make sure you get out and support those local businesses, especially the restaurants. It's a tough time for them right now. There's a lot of long-term ones that have been closing regionally around us. So we've got to support our own. And, I shout out to fire chief who bought local, and I think all of us should look at doing that. So, thank you to all the city employees who've done a great job, and it's, keep it up.
Thank you. Alderman Simmons?
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you. Alderman Parker?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Alderman Stacy?
Yes, I would just like to say that last week we had a visitor in our town, and that person was Eric Sorsen. His purpose for being in the city was to see the Burchard water plant. For the record, there was a federal grant, a bipartisan bill, if you will, that we, the city of Freeport, was granted $1 million to go toward that building, that new water plant. For the record, I just want to say thank you to Eric Sorsen. He should be commended for the money he was able, through a grant, to bring to our city. That's not a little thing. In the near future, more consideration needs to be made to elected officials. It would have been nice to have known he was coming, and it was said that it was open to the public. However, for whatever reason, it was not. When I inquired, why weren't we, the council, informed? I was told through communication that I only did what I was told. For the future, I hope we can receive information in knowing these big events when they're happening on the spot. And he also visited the Adams Street project. Thank you.
Manager Boyer, was that money just in the appropriations? That actually hasn't been awarded, has it?
I believe the money that's being referred to is for well 12, which is going to be a future well on
Right, it's not-
Willow
yeah,
site.
it's- That's not.
It has not been awarded?
It's an appropriation. He's hopeful, but no, we have not gotten $1 million. And it was not for the water treatment plant. It was for well 12, which is in the future. And for the record, he said it was him wanting to visit us. It was not an agenda item that he desired to, that he made known that he wanted to have other people invited. So we followed his direction.
Well, on his website, it said it was open to the public.
Well, according to his lady that set it up. Little misunderstanding of communication there, I'm afraid. So anyway, Alderman Shader, do you have something?
Nothing tonight.
And thank you, Alderman Sanders.
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to talk about a few things in private, special meeting to get some clarification on some items that I think should have been contested, at least contested. It didn't seem like we had a consultant to talk about certain things in my ward, in the 7th Ward. And I think it needs to be brought out, so I would like to have that special meeting. and discuss it for a few minutes or whatever the case is, maybe another time. But I just want that to be on the, I think I just want that to be noted, that we're going to have a special meeting after we adjourn so we can talk about this thing in my 7th ward. And I'm just going to hold my peace for now until I get more information. Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, guys.
Alderman Sellers?
The only thing that I have is I would like to bring back the crime bill. I am just feeling sad when I go to the neighborhood watch meetings, and the majority of the time it's talking about guns and gun violence and who was arrested for guns and shootings and the drugs, and it's just, it's sad. And I would like to see that the crime bill be brought back to the council to review and look at, because I just want to see a safer community.
Thank you. Alderman Clem?
Yes, I'd like to thank Alderman Sellers and Alderman Shadle and Mr. Duckman for taking over at the neighborhood watch meeting that I had while I was gone for a few days. I had good reports back and heard good back from the people that were there, our people that were there. I'd also like to thank Chief Schenberger. I appreciate your work on the drug thing we talked about. The only thing we have to laugh at is the fact he was sitting on his back porch that night, but that's the criminal justice system. But next week on the COW meeting, we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the gaming machines. That's due to come up next week. I'd like to have a meeting with Dovey before then, and I'd like to, if I could, Tim Mahoney and I had talked, and if it would be possible for Tim to come forward that evening, and we just talk about some of the general things, so.
You want him on the cow?
Yeah, if he could, if he's available. He and I have talked back and forth, and just to see if there's some concerns and some things that can be done. Also, the fact that it was brought up at the meeting about what the people thought about the slot machine thing, and they were for limiting it somewhat, but it's not as easy as it looks, and it should be all fair to everybody when we get done.
Okay,
So
thank you. Mr. Siegel, did you ever want to add to your?
I just got some project reports that city manager asked me to give. So I want to give some updates on all the projects happening at Freeport. Adams Avenue is in full swing. Clinton has most of the water main replaced already at Clinton Place, Clinton Street. They're working on the first leg of sanitary on Adams Street. Probably a hair behind the timing we thought they should be, but they're going to do it segment by segment, so they should be dropping back to do water in that first section by float next week. We'd like to remind everybody the ribbon cutting is August 16th at 1 o'clock at Well 11. Councilmen and women and city staff members are welcome to come into the Well House. Outside guests, it's a Homeland Security issue. If you're not part of the city purview, you can't come inside the Well House. But the ribbon cutting will be there, and I believe Kevin is notifying the news agencies. It's a big day for Freeport. It's probably one of the larger projects we've had to date, and very proud of that. Hancock Avenue water main is scheduled to get started shortly. We'll be replacing about 2,000 feet on the south side of the bridge. That's an emergency replacement. We're working with Ameresco at the landfill for solar panels. That's a big project the city's had in the works for years. Bradmar and Town Drive will be bid soon. That's going to be water main replacement, street replacement. The wastewater treatment plan project that was passed, the pre-con is tomorrow, so that project will be moving forward on Hancock shortly. The police department has been having a lot of air conditioning issues over the last few years, so we're going to embark on getting a new condensing and coil system for that. I'm also working on the Hancock Viaduct, and we should have a contract for the next project. We finally came into an agreement with CN and HDR to get that project moving forward. And this Friday, lead service line phase 3 should be bid. It's a $3 million project, and we got $2.4 million in forgiveness from the state for that project.
Thank you. All good news. We will move on to item number 23, it's just public comment. Is there any public comments this evening? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion made by Monroe and seconded by Sellers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
There's a vote of 809.